Okay, got an oldie but a goodie today. 7.3 liter Powerstroke fuel filter. Right there in the center in the engine valley. And you notice how I said fuel filter and not filters, because the 7.3 is a lot more tolerant of fuel particles, and it doesn't need a secondary fine micron filter. They kind of combined it into one. So what Ford did is they added a pre-filter onto here to kind of add double duty to it, a single fuel filter bowl, and that way they could have dual filtering in one bowl. This came out, this cover right here on them from Ford, about a couple of years ago, I would say. Before it was just the paper one, that's how they came stock also. So this is what comes in the Ford kit. You got the filter, of course. You got the O-ring, which goes right here in this groove, right there. And then you got, of course, the cap gasket right here. So first thing we need to do is assemble the filter, kind of, by putting this O-ring on here. They don't do it from the factory. Put it on there, make sure it's fully seated all the way around. And that's good. And then we got to go ahead and start pulling that cap off of there to get the old one out. It's nice and easy, right in the center of the engine valley. Let's get it done. Now it's a good idea to pack around it with rags. You want to get as much fuel that's going to spill as possible, and this is just overflow from the bowl. It's not actual pressure. And then make sure you have a drain bucket right next to it so you can pick it up right into it without getting it all over the place and dripping across the engine compartment. First thing we got to do is unscrew that puppy. Okay, so unless you have the actual tool that goes like this, let's see, like this, with two fingers on it, and then you put a ratchet on it, you just turn it off. Or you can't get it off with using a large set of pliers, or in this case, a oil filter wrench. Just span it, and then twist and turn. What I use, and I've been using for years with no problems, is a brass drift with a blunt tip on it like that. And these ridges right here are the strongest. These ones. Stronger than these ones. So unless some Joe Schmo put it on there extra tight, you should be able to take a hammer, so once it's loose, we can go ahead and unscrew it. Try to keep your cap level so we don't sprinkle a bunch of garbage into there. And get it off to the side. And get our seal out of here and discard it. Now these will be stuck in here pretty good through that center rubber, depending. This one's coming out pretty easy, but I might have to really yank on it, but it is free to yank on. There's nothing else involved. Kind of drain it a little bit before you take it away. Inspect your fuel bowl for excessive debris. This one doesn't have too much in it. The biggest thing you want to look at is this element down in here. This is the fuel heater. You want to make sure it's not getting all rusty, because they'll actually decay and fall apart, and then it'll short out and blow the fuse. That's also an indication you're getting too much water in your system. So either you're not draining it, the fuel water separator in here, or your source of fuel has just got too much water in it, and it'll literally just sit in here and rot out that steel in there. So go ahead and put your new fuel filter in here slowly so you don't splash. It's going to be a little hard to push in. Make sure it's fully seated in there. Make sure you clean your rim here before you put that seal in. So what you're going to have is the flat bottom facing down, and then it's going to be at an angle going in. So it'll be curved in just like that. That's probably the best way to show it right there. You can see it's going in towards the center right there, angling in, and the bottom's flat. And it's a weird seal, but that's the way they got it on these, and they still haven't changed it, so it must work. Kind of see it. And the same thing going back on. So you'll feel it, and you'll feel it getting tight, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to keep beating it on there and risk breaking that housing. Now, of course, it'd be best to have that tool, but it's not absolutely necessary. Worst comes to worst, you break that cover, which I'd never have in 9 years. The new ones from Napa, if you're getting Napa Gold or whatever else, they come with the cover. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. There's no reason to go out and spend $20, $30 on a fuel filter tool. Once we got that cover all tightened down, snugged up, we can go ahead and clean around it and cycle the key about twice before you start it. Check for leaks, and then we can go ahead and start it and recheck for leaks as it's idling. That's about all there is to this one. I just want to go over the few tips to doing it that newcomers, new owners may not realize, and they can get to work on their vehicles themselves and save a little money. Diesels are expensive enough to keep going, so the fuel costs and all that, so hope this helps.